Welcome back to the E36 LS1 build, guys. If you're here because you watched ZR2 videos, don't worry, there's plenty more coming. I appreciate you though. So a couple of you ZR2 guys, diesel guys, want to come over and watch the LS1 E36 build, that will be great, because no one really seems to watch it. It's a fun build for me, so I'll continue making videos. So let me catch you guys up on where we are at this point. Doing a whole bunch of little stuff in the video again. Next video is a big mod though for the car. This is not acceptable, all these wires obviously. If you know how an E36 works and how the engine bay is set up from the factory, these wires come out of this hole here and run just alongside here in plain view, and then run to all of your front end accessories. So what I'm going to work on is thinning this harness out, because I don't need all of that stuff, but I do need some of it, a lot of it. And then I'm going to run it in this channel in here, and then it's going to come out here. You'll still see it down here a little bit, but not really. You're not going to have this big ugly loom of wires coming off on my fresh paint. Over here I already have the fender off and have the fuse box kind of disassembled here. So what I'm going to do, right there you see I already have two grommets installed, one in the box and one on the fender. So that's where my wires are going to run through. It's going to go through there, and then going to run it in there. It's not going to come out of this hole, it's still going to be in there. And then it's going to run along that to the front. And before I dive into all that, I actually want to put some of this front end back together, because if you saw the last episode, I have the radiator front end support thingamabobber repainted, did the coil packs, the valve covers. I'm going to put all the plugs and spark plug wires, heat shield wrap, grommet kind of things on there. And then I can set the radiator and fan setup in there, and the front end's going to look a lot more complete with all that stuff on there. So let me get started with that. This side's not going on yet because I can't put this fender on until I get the wiring sorted. So right now it's just, you know, just loose, just chilling on there. So you could use a cleaner, huh? A big moment for me getting this back in there. It's exciting. All sorts of room up here too. Obviously I have a nice electric fan and shroud set up, even have these little flappers here. This is actually a very powerful fan. Never had an issue with this, but look at all that clearance. That's great. And then you can see now I can kind of get an idea how to run this. That's going to be very nice, real short. Gonna have to figure out what hose to get for that. All right, now to put all these sleeves on these spark plug wires, which it's pretty tight. I'll tell you that much. And by pretty tight, I mean very tight. In fact, I'm not even sure how I got this the first one through there. Peekaboo. I mean, really, I guess that's really the most I can get, which is fine. I mean, it'll plug in. That wasn't so bad. Passenger side complete. Onto the nightmare side. I can't even see it. Oh my goodness. Ooh. I think I'm on it. Oh yeah. Hardest one is on. That wasn't as terrible as I thought. That's probably going to be an issue. That's sitting right on there. Well, as far as I can tell, all 8 of them are in. Granted, it's so hard to get some of those way down in there, as you guys probably know. This, I'm not sure what to do here, because that is 100% touching that manifold, and that's definitely going to melt. Maybe I need more of a sleeve, one that comes up higher. We'll see. Looking fresh, though. Happy with that. All right, and while I'm at it, I started to put the serpentine belt on here. I think, and I hope I got the right one, though I am not positive. I got the one they recommended, the ICT billet recommended for this. However, I have an underdrive crank pulley, so yeah, we'll see. Ooh, I think that is actually right. All looks good. I kind of just guessed at the routing, but I mean, you can't really mess it up, right? Something else I wanted to do, I never put a gasket behind the throttle body plate adapter. There's a gasket between here and here, but not attached to the intake manifold. It was kind of difficult to find them, and the ones that I found were like super expensive, so I just got some generic gasket material, and I'm gonna make my own gasket. So I'm gonna pull this throttle body back off. O-ring seal, no gaskets. I gotta do that. I've never made my own gasket, so this will be interesting. Alright, that's done. Cool. Not that anyone would ever know, but now I shouldn't have any vacuum leaks. Also, while I was at it, I added a P-clip, if that's what you want to call it, down there, 3/4 inch to hold the big heater hose. And then I added a few zip ties to these to tie the two heater hoses together. But that's pretty nice. That's the factory mount for, I don't even know what. I don't know, but it worked out well. Just a nice stainless steel bolt, washer, and nut on there. Now we're getting to the point where I'm going to start adding fluids, that's a good sign. When you start adding fluids, you know you're getting close to being done and ready to fire up. Not that close, but I'm pretty close. And it's helpful so I don't forget and try to start it with no oil in it. That would be bad. Kind of forgot about the bumper mounts, so I figured I'd at least get them temporarily on. That way, for fun, when I'm working on the car, I can bash my knees off of them. Do you guys see what I missed? You see anything missing here? Now that the front end is, somewhat back together at least, time to focus back on the wiring. And I need to get this all run through the fender. The reason I didn't do that yet is I was waiting for some heat shrink to cover all that up and make it look nice. And it just showed up today. So I got 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch heat shrink. I'm not sure which one is gonna work out better. Either way, it shrinks to 2-to-1 shrink ratio. I think this is the same. They're both 2-to-1. Now what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna decide which of these wires I'm going to basically eliminate and leave in the fuse box panel itself, because I don't need all of this. A couple things I'm going to get rid of. I don't need that exterior air temperature sensor, don't need that. And I also don't need the fan wiring, because the fan wiring is going to be powered from the ECU and harness that I have. So that's also irrelevant. I need to eliminate those wires, and then I'll work on the heat shrink. So I'll throw you guys on a time lapse as I get this all figured out. All right, got it thinned out just a little bit. There's still a bunch of wires here. So what I ended up doing, if you didn't see, I labeled the wires that I cut, like that one there says fan, and electrical taped it off. I did the fan, that exterior air temp sensor, and the cruise control. 3 things I'm never gonna need on this ever again. Not putting that ugly cruise control module up here. Ugh. So now really, I just gotta decide where I'm cutting this and then start the heat shrink wrap. Time to cut. Alright boys, I snuck it out of there. It went a little smoother than I thought. Definitely took a good bit of time, but it is out. With that nice heat shrunk sleeve up in there. And then through both grommets up here. Real pumped about that. I think that's a really, really clean solution. The wires are nice and protected. They are run in that channel. Can't see them other than right here. So now I'm just going to work on basically butt connecting these all back together and then putting more of the heat shrunk wrap on there. About done with the wiring. Wiring is fun. Don't let anyone else tell you any differently. It's a great time. Well, gentlemen, that wraps up the wiring project pretty much. If you see, what I ended up doing is spacing out my butt connectors so they're not all in one spot, and then it gets to become a big bulge. So I did that both at the top and the bottom. I have the bigger heat shrink sleeve up here. It actually goes a good bit up in there. And the reason for that is I'm gonna pull that down and it's gonna go over all this wiring up to, you know, like the end of this. So all this will be completely covered and sealed in a nice wrap. I have the bigger one on there so the bigger one can fit around the butt connectors. Now I don't want to hear about I should have used solder and should have done this and that. A mechanical crimp is good enough for NASA, so it's good enough for me. And these things work just fine, especially with the proper crimping tool and the heat shrink. Now I'm not going to pull the heat shrink down and get all that finished up yet, because I'll wait till I get the car running. Because I just want to make sure everything works, make sure I didn't mix up any wires or have anything that I need to address. So I'll wait to do that. Now I can button up this fuse box because I should not be needing to get in there anymore, hopefully, for any reason. like it never even happened. Can't even tell. All you can see is that itsy bitsy little, come on focus, down in there. That's all you can see, and it looks factory, to be honest. That's the way it should have been from the factory. It's not like I even really modded the car at all. All I did is took the wires from here and shifted them over 2 inches. All right, now that the wire tucking is done, I think for good, I'll throw this fender on here, at least sort of loosely. I got like an 01 or an 03 or something lower radiator hose for a Silverado. All I needed was that little angle and threw that on there. So bottom radiator hose is done. Since I got that lower radiator hose done, I'm working on the upper now. So I got the 1 and I think it's like 1 1/4 inch output from the water pump, and this is 1 1/2 inch. So I got this radiator hose that actually goes from a 1 1/4 to a 1 1/2. And then the full 1 1/2 is right here with an ICT billet adapter. So I got to cut these things to length. And what I'm going to do, what I'm going to use, which I've never done before, are these Gates Power Grip clamps. So I'm not going to use that on the end here or the end here, because those are items you got to remove. But I'm going to do it in here. That way it kind of looks more like one uniform radiator hose instead of 2. So I think that's going to look pretty nice. I ordered more of these as well for like these connectors, but they're either back ordered or no one actually has them, because I ordered them twice and they got canceled both times. Now I have this position like exactly where I want it, so I'm going to try out these heat shrink clamps, see how they work. And I do want to overlap the one just a little bit just to cover that gap, to really make it look like it's just one piece. I like that. These heat shrink clamps are like expensive. I think these were like $5 a pop. And obviously whenever you remove these, they're ruined. So it's not something I would use throughout the whole engine. Man, I really couldn't be much happier with that. That looks really good. So now the upper radiator hose completely done. Lower radiator hose completely done. The only piece I have left to do, I gotta connect those back there, but they're already good to go, is figure out where I'm putting the expansion tank. And once I figure that out, I can run the hose down here, and then the cooling system is done. So boys, with the radiator coolant hoses done, upper and lower, I got all the wire tucking done. Front end's back on pretty much. So much done. So that was a lot crammed into this video. Next video, take a walk with me. We're gonna open up what's in this box. And on top you can see there's an E85 sensor, so sort of a hint there. So as always guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.